The president is part of a group of African leaders who will, in the coming days, try and broker peace between Russia and Ukraine. At the same time, our government is caught between a rock and a hard place regarding Russia. Growing pressure to act on an international criminal court arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin should he come to South Africa for the BRICS summit in August. Let's speak now to Professor and International Relations expert Garth Le Pere from the University of Pretoria. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. Let's first of all talk about this mission from Africa. It's not very clear when they're going or exactly how it's going to work, but do you think that a group such as this has a fighting chance of actually making a difference?
Well, I really don't think so as a mediation effort, because the two sides are Russia and Ukraine. You know, the war situation there makes mediation under the current circumstances extremely difficult. So it seems to me that this is more an exploratory visit to find out whether there is the sufficient political will on both sides for a mediation effort to take place. And that mediation effort has to be driven by an international mediation process with credible mediators. Some of these presidents that make up the peace mission are seen as partisans of Putin. Nevertheless, I think, you know, any effort, and it's been welcomed by none other than Secretary General as an important initiative. So it does at least, you know, add the foundation of possible mediation efforts that will come later.
Yeah, and we know, of course, that President Ramaphosa, I think he represented the ANC at the CODESA talks, which ultimately led to our peaceful negotiated settlement for our democracy. So he certainly has some experience in tricky negotiations. But it seems from what we're hearing that Russia really won't accept any deal that doesn't involve the handing over of some Ukrainian land. So do you agree that that's going to have to be on the table?
Well, I think, you know, both sides are uncompromising at this stage. President Zelensky is on record as saying that any negotiated settlement must involve the complete withdrawal of Russian forces from every inch of Ukrainian territory. I think that is his principal position. And as you probably know, Russia now occupies something like 20% of Ukraine, and that includes the Crimea that was annexed in 2014, and then you know, the Donbas region. So it will be a very difficult you know, negotiation process. Nevertheless, I think President Ramaphosa does have the pedigree, given his role in the CODESA talks. But South Africa's foreign policy has been compromised, you know, by this ambiguity between neutrality and non-alignment.
Yeah. Your line is breaking up a little, Prof. I'm going to interrupt you in the hopes that it... Sorry, Prof.
Very confusing picture.
Yeah. So, Prof, your line is breaking up slightly. We're going to play a clip. Hopefully your line will settle during the playing of that clip. A little earlier this afternoon, presidential spokesperson Vincent Magwenya held a media briefing, and he was asked about this conundrum South Africa is facing, about the fact that we're holding the BRICS summit in August, and we have invited the Russian President Vladimir Putin. There is an international arrest warrant issued by the ICC, and we're kind of damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. He was asked, Vincent Magwenya, this afternoon, whether there is serious consideration for moving the BRICS summit out of South Africa. Let's take a quick listen to that.
To talk about the BRICS summit moving to China, we've seen similar media reports. We have not been behind those media reports as the presidency. Should there be any change with respect to the hosting of the summit, the president will communicate that. As things stand, South Africa will be hosting and chairing the upcoming BRICS summit.
Yeah. probably not surprising because the president's on record saying, if there's a change, I'm going to let you know. But which way do you think this is going to go?
I think South Africa faces a real conundrum here because it is a signatory to the Rome Statute, as you know, and it does have a legal and a moral obligation to effect the arrest. And there is precedent for this, as you probably also know, with former President al-Bashir of Sudan, who sort of escaped the news here. So this continued ambivalence of whether he's coming or not needs to be cleared. And word on the street is that there are discussions with China to move the summit to China. China is not a signatory to the statute, and that would sort of relieve South Africa of the pressure. So it's very difficult to say, in the absence of a clear and clear position of where South Africa stands, what is going to happen. According to Naledi Pandor, the minister, that invitation to Vladimir Putin to attend the summit in August still stands.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens, I guess. But as you say, word on the street, it may well move to China. Thank you so much for chatting to us. Our apologies for that difficult line. Professor and international relations expert Garth Le Pere from the University of Pretoria.